Okay, I took a little day trip in the Model S, and the reason for taking this trip, well, there was a couple of reasons, but I did want to go to a charging station in winter with colder temperatures and see what the charging rate of the vehicle was at those low temperatures. And so I took this little trip, and I kind of timed it out so that I would end up with about between 10 and 20 miles left on the car when I got to a DC charging station. And pretty good. It was about 11, 12 miles, depending on which indicator you looked at, when I reached the station. Okay, give you some more specs on it. The temperatures were between 23 and 28 degrees as I went on this trip. I did use the navigation so that I was navigating to a charging station, and I set that in so it would pre-warm the battery. Now, I don't really think it did pre-warm the battery. I couldn't really tell, but because I was going to end up with such a low charge by the time I got to the charging station, it did not, it probably didn't pre-warm the battery. I'm just guessing on that. I don't know. The conditions were, of course, the cold temperature, snowing, sometimes kind of a half rain sort of thing too, and speeds 73 to 75 miles an hour. So I got to the station. It's a 250 kW station, and I've been there before, and I maxed out before at a warmer temperature of about 240 kW. Well, this time, when I came up there was no one else at the charging station. There were 8 stations, and they were all empty. I pulled in, I started charging, and it said it was going to take 45 minutes to go from, it was effectively 0 to 80% charge. And so it started charging, and the very first pick I took of it, it was about 148 kW. It finally maxed out at about 40 minutes left on the charge at 214. Then it started going down. When I hit 35, I was at 160. Now here I have to put another caveat here. Supposedly, these 250 kW stations do not reduce their output when there's more demand. Like before, if you shared the charging cord, you also shared the 150 kilowatts that were available. Supposedly in these new ones, that's not true. However, in this meantime, there were 3 other vehicles came. 8 stations, now we had 4 vehicles. And I can't say it correlated with each vehicle coming, but it may have. Because I went down, I was 160, at 30 minutes I was 157. At 25 minutes I was 118. And 20 minutes I was 103. 10 minutes I was 65, and I bottomed out at 53 at 5 minutes. And of course, those would be lower anyway because they're above 50%. I put 319 miles on the car, or at least I showed 319. It was, 309 or something, but that I put in that 45 minutes. Is charging slower in cold temperatures? As far as I can tell, yes, because this station was capable of giving me 240 up to about 50%, in the past, and it wasn't even close this time. It did correctly predict the time, because when it said it was 45 minutes, it took 45 minutes. The accuracy was there. The reduction was due either to the fact, well, there's a couple of variables in here. Other people came to the charger, and it's possible that the charger did reduce output because there was others there. And of course, there's a possibility that the battery was not pre-warmed when I came there. One of the things I've noted, I used to note this on my Chevy Bolt because I had an OBD that I could check temperatures. Driving and using the battery does not seem to heat it up a lot. At least it didn't on the Bolt. It does, when it's charging, it tends to heat up more. But I didn't see, there is heating. There is some heat comes off the battery when you're driving. But I didn't think it was as high as it was when you're charging. So possibly just driving down the road did not heat the battery enough, and the outside temperature was keeping the batteries at too cold a temperature to accept the charge. So what were the things that mitigated against me getting up to that 240 or 50 kilowatt? Number one, cold temperatures. Cold temperatures are going to equal cold battery. Now the battery, from my experience with the Bolt, I had an OBD in the Bolt that I could check the battery temperature. It did not seem to me that the battery heated up a lot when it was discharging by driving. Driving didn't seem to heat it a lot. It did some, but not a lot. That may be the same, the case may be the same with the Tesla, that it isn't as much. There is more heating done when it's charging, that's for sure. It definitely does that. Did the car not preheat the battery because the battery was getting so low? That's a very strong possibility. And the other one, of course, is I added more people to the charging station. I didn't add them. They came in. And maybe Elon's not telling us just how that works. So maybe they do reduce in output when there's more people pulling charge. Those are the results I came up with on it. I will probably double check this again at another time just to see if I could get the same results. But wintertime, it does seem that the charging is going to be at a lower rate than in the summer, especially when your battery is getting very, very low. Anyway, that's it on this one.